name is Luando Tame, as you know it. Today we are doing another very important topic. We are doing identity. We are talking about identity today. It's an emotional topic to me. I have to be honest. It's a very emotional one. As we were coming back from viewing another asset today in Caledon, close to Caledon, it's Genandenda. That's the name of the place. It's a tourism site. It's a tourism attraction spot. This asset is it's the only BNB in that area. It's an area that is about 6,000 people, with only one BNB, which makes it a good opportunity. So, but that's not what we are talking about today. We are coming back from there. It's quite a drive. It's about 2 hours drive. As we are coming back, something always happens when we travel, because a lot of truths are revealed on the way to and from. Because as you drive, you can't help but look at how the South African, environment, or the South African economical structure is displayed. As you travel down, you see the display of the inequality, or the difference between the haves and the have-nots, the difference between races, the difference between those who own and those who don't. It struck me that we have a population in South Africa that has an identity card. I think I belong to that population. We have an identity card. That small thing, it used to be a green book. It's called an identity card, which means it identifies. I don't think it identifies who you are, it identifies what you are, according to the powers that be. And I couldn't help but wonder, is this my identity, or is it their identity for me? It says I'm a South African. That's what the card is saying. It says I'm a South African, but when I look around, I have got nothing to show for my citizenship. I've got only this card to show for my citizenship. And the display of ownership patterns as you travel down to Caledon, which means we are driving out of our comfort zone, which is Cape Town. For those of us who are born and raised, who are still residing in the Cape Town environment, when you move out of Cape Town, you experience a different type of display, of what are the ownership patterns in this country. In Cape Town, we are trapped in the township. We think this is the only life that exists. For most of us, it's like that. We think this is the only life that exists. We call ourselves South Africans, call other people foreigners, without having a broader view of what it really means to be a citizen. In terms of ownership, if you are a South African, what are you entitled to? I don't think we've asked this question as an ordinary township or rural area or a black South African. I have to be specific, and broad at the same time. Because if I'm talking about township or rural, I'm not talking about different people. These are the same people who are affected by the same identity, who are where they are because of their identity. Apart from the card, you are identified as a black person, or a black South African, or a black Um, uh, they call it broad. There's a broad definition of black. There's a narrow definition of black. If you want to talk narrow definition of black, then you are saying black Africans, which means now you are specific. We are talking about those people who are referred to as Africans. Even though when it suits us, we want to call ourselves, all of us who are here want to call ourselves African when it suits us. But there are cases where we want to be differentiated. We want to be called white, we want to be called colored, we want to be called Indian. But when it suits us, we all want to be called African. But there are cases where we are called, I think when we are to be excluded or be discriminated against, we have to specify that we are Africans. Because I never understood what's the story, what's the deal with that. But my main point here is, majority of us are calling ourselves South Africans, and we only have the ID card to show for it. To me, this is the saddest thing ever. I do not have the stats of how much land we have in this country, but I know it's vast. There's a vast amount of land that is available for people to own, but it's just lying there vacant without being owned. But there's a situation that we experience and we witness every day of people who are living in shacks, a shack next to each other, and those who are a step up are living in RDPs, and those RDPs are also very small and so congested. They are also confined. They also have small streets. Everything about our lives, as we know it in the township, is very small. It's a small life. We have small businesses. We are called an informal sector. If you want to go a little step up, you are called a small business, an SMME. So we are happy with all of these things, which forms part of this identity that we are talking about, which is not much if you look at how much the country has to offer and what we have as the citizens and as the original citizens, indigenous, if you want to call it. We are called indigenous citizens of the country or of the continent. But if you look at the ownership patterns, there is no reflection of our citizenship. So, who is to blame for this? I think that's a logical question to ask. We are people who are at the receiving end of all of this situation. But who is to blame for it? Because we have to get to that point so that we can move forward towards a solution, towards opening a gate of possibility as to what else can we be. So, but we have to go deeper into the cause, because what I just discussed now is the effect. What is the cause? Who is to blame for this? What was it before? Even before the card or the ID book, what were the patterns of ownership? What was our identity? How did we identify ourselves? What did we have to show for our citizenship? What did we own? I think we need to go back there so that we can really understand and go deep into this identity thing, so that when we identify ourselves, we can have some level of confidence in this identity of ours. We started flip the coin from the knowledge that we were all born free. We were all born equal. We were all born with the same capabilities. We were all born from the same entity. We jumped out of the same consciousness, of the same spirit that we are an extension of. we understood that. That is why we named the movement Flip the Coin, because we understood that thinking is the coin of heaven. It's the way that we think that determines the outcome of our existence, or that determines our manifestations. So when we understood that, we decided to form a movement that would not be limited in its view of what can be, a movement that would be based on the understanding of the fact that we are infinite beings, we are not limited, we are eternal. We have eternal intelligence inside of us. We have something that is within us, that we are born with, that we can use to create a life that we want. So we understood that. Then we said, let's start flip the coin, because there is a coin to be flipped here, because this life has got two sides. It's got poverty, it's got riches, it's got poverty, it's got prosperity, So we are living the other side of the coin. So let's understand this side that we are living, so that we can flip it over and live on the other side. That was the understanding. So if we know that, what type of identity do we have? What type of identity did we have before this one? What type of an identity do we want for our future? If we have this type of an identity now, what causes it? Where did it come from? How did we get here? What are the constructs of this identity? What causes us to be the owners of an ID but nothing else? What causes us not to own factories, or not to own means of production, not to own farms, not to own banks, not to own mines, not to own properties, not to own assets, just in general, not to even own our own lives? Because if you don't own the information that you consume, that means you don't own your life. You don't even own our religion. We don't own anything. We only own ID cards. What is the reason for this? Who is to blame? I think the first person to blame is us. At Flip the Coin, we say it starts with you. We have no right to blame anyone if we have not evaluated our contribution or our role into whatever situation that we are experiencing. What has been our role? What role have we played to manifest? Because everything is a manifestation. Everything is a manifestation. Last episode we were talking about decisions. The people who own things today, they have decided that they don't want to own ID cards. To them, it's not enough to own ID cards as their identity or as their proof that they are South Africans. They want to own South Africa. Those who do not own South Africa are the ones that I'm talking to today. What is the reason for us to only own ID cards, not the economy? So the minute that question is answered, I think we'll start having some progress. Again, I will repeat our position at Flip the Coin. It says, it starts with you. When I say it starts with you, I'm not excluding myself. I'm sitting here today talking about this because I have evaluated myself, I have introspected, I have decided to go to the cause, go to the root of it, so that I can come up with my own solutions. And Flip the Coin, we are already embarked on buying assets, buying the economy back. Why? Because we've decided that we cannot be owners of IDs only. We have to own the country. Owning the country does not mean we'll be in parliament and be voted into power. That's not what we mean. But what we mean is we will make it our mission to start owning the economy of this country, one project at a time, one asset at a time, one property at a time. We are not doing it alone, we are doing it with people. That is why we are using the Stokvel concept to bring people into this mission. But we cannot achieve what we want to achieve if we have not managed to shift the mindsets. The mindsets of our people need to be on board with this idea that this identity of ID cards is not enough. We have to be identified with more. We have to be identified with creativity. We have to be identified with production. We have to be identified with ownership. We have to be identified with more than just an ID card. We have to own something more than that. As a collective, what do we owe? Nothing. As individuals, what do we owe? ID cards. We own ID cards. I'll always refer to, because it really bothers me when I think of it. We only own ID cards. Even those people who think they are rich in South Africa. If your people and you do not control what they eat, you are really not an owner. You don't own your life. If you don't know where your food is coming from, if you don't know what they put in your food, if they feed you halal, you don't even know what is halal. If they feed you something else, they tell you this is A grade, this is B grade, you have nothing to say about that. If everything that you consume is done by somebody else, then you are not an owner. The owners are those people who determine what they eat, are those people who determine what their children are taught at school, are those people who determine what type of a religion they will choose, are those people who determine their own spirituality and their own lifestyle and their own cultural beliefs, are those people who own their entire lives, those people who can choose what laws govern them, those people who can have a say in terms of what happens in their country, what is the direction their politicians choose. Those are the people who own something. Where are we as the indigenous people of this country? Where are we when it comes to that? Do we only own IDs, or can we influence the narrative? Can we influence the direction of the country? Can our identity give us enough power to influence the education system? Do we identify the way we need or we want to identify, or are we told who we are and we have accepted the identity that we are given? By who? I think we need to start looking at those questions. Who gave us our identity? And who gave us the meaning of this identity? You have the identity, you are a South African. What does that give you? What are you entitled to? What does it mean to be a South African? Is it possible that you are just sitting at home right now with an ID complaining about something you cannot change? Is it enough to have an ID? Do you want to do something about it? Do you want to have more than just an ID? Do you want to be more? Have you decided yet? If you have not decided, I think it's time for us to engage. We need to start talking about it. We need to have the conversation. We need to start redefining ourselves. We need to start re-looking at our identity with the purpose of changing it. Because for me, as I'm coming down from Caledon, looking at two sides of the road, on the other side is the owners of the country. Because you can tell these people are the owners of the country. How do I tell? What they own. And on the left, those people who are supposed to be the indigenous people of the land, they own far less. To me, it's nothing, it's an insult. It's an insult. They identify as South Africans too, but what does South Africa give to them? Maybe the next logical question to ask is, what do they give to South Africa? We really need to ask both these questions, because if South Africa is not giving anything to you, maybe you need to ask yourself, what are you intending to give to South Africa, or what you have you given to South Africa? Maybe you have the identity that has nothing to show, that you have nothing to show for, because you have declared yourself as a have-not. You have decided to operate as a have-not. You have told yourself that you have nothing to offer to this country. But at Flip the Coin, we know that you do. And at Flip the Coin, we know that the identity that you have accepted is really not your identity. If we can relook this identity thing and try to identify with more than just being South Africans, I think we need to identify with more. Maybe identify with the universe, with the cosmos, with the world, with humanity, with nature. Identify with more. The idea has limited us to just being South Africans. South Africans, we were told that we are South Africans. We did not decide. Maybe that's the reason why we need to identify with more. Just throw away the card and start being a human being. And look at your purpose and your duty to the human species. Maybe once you start identifying as a human being with a duty to other human species, to other human beings, well, maybe you will start doing more. You will start being more. Because you need to know more, become more, to do more. Let's live beyond the ID. Throw away the ID. It's not your identity. That's my view. And start living as a human being with a duty, with a purpose, with an assignment on earth. What is our assignment? If we, as the majority of people in this country, can start thinking of our purpose. What is our purpose? Why are we here? Maybe then we will start aligning. We'll start talking. We'll start seeing each other as the same person. We'll start seeing each other as the same thing. We will defeat the divisions as Zenza, Sibe minority whilst see majority. We work as divisions because our identity is given to us, is told to us, it's not realized by us. We just need to realize our identity. It's not the ID card. We are human beings with a duty. We have a duty to each other. A duty to each other is what will save us. Once you identify what the duty is, it will save us. It will take us away from the shackles. In fact, it will break the shackles immediately. Once we understand that we have a duty to each other, then the identity will broaden. We'll expand our identity beyond the ID card. And because of that expansion or that growth in consciousness, we will start seeing ourselves becoming better, owning more than just an ID card. I've been talking a lot about the ID card today because I felt like that's all we have. It's a realization to me that really, as black people in this country, that's all we have to show for it. ID card, maybe human rights, few people in parliament, That's all we have. Other than that, we don't own anything, and it has got to change. And Flip the Coin, we are changing it. We are not talking about problems only. We've got the solutions. What are our solutions? Go to our website, check us out, start the conversation with us. We need people on board. We are talking about these things because we've started changing them. We have started with the transformation process because we believe that complete transformation is needed. We don't need change. We need transformation. We need to move from tadpoles to frogs, just completely reshape ourselves, recondition completely. Remove all of these ideas that were instilled. They were instilled. Yes, we cannot change that. Whoever instilled them at their own agenda. What's your agenda? What's our agenda? It's time that we have our own agenda. And our own agenda should be changing our identity, changing our whole situation. Our situation is exactly aligned with our identity. We identify as poor people. We are not. God did not create poor people. God created creators. We have the right to create. That's why we are given creativity. Join Flip the Coin. Come talk to us. We are not looking for you to buy membership. We are not selling you anything. Come talk to us. Let's talk. Let's see where we can start together with you, or what we can do. Already we are doing things at Flip the Coin. We are buying properties, we are buying assets, we are investing in good projects. We are not inviting you because we are looking for your money. We are inviting you so that you can also become part of change. We are not inviting beneficiaries, because the beneficiary mindset has killed a lot of minds, has killed a lot of talents. We don't invite beneficiaries. People who want to come here to benefit, please don't come. We need people who want to work, people who want to see and be the change that they want to see. So you are invited. Check our website, Flip the Coin SA. We've got socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out. We want to talk to you. We'll do another episode, another part 2 of this identity, just like we did with decisions. But it's something that just came. We were not supposed to do identity today, but it just came, and it became a burning desire. So we couldn't help it. So we'll do part 2 of this. See you next time, next week. Yes, Flip the Coin SA. Cheers for now.